Think about every photo, every document, every digital memory you've ever saved. Now imagine it all slowly, silently rotting away. We trust our entire lives to these fragile boxes of plastic and metal, to these wisps of data in the cloud. But we've all felt that cold dread, haven't we? That sudden panic from the click of death, the terror of a file-corrupted message. A lifetime of data just gone. Our most advanced storage methods have a depressingly short lifespan. Hard drives crash, SSDs degrade. The digital ink of our lives is fading. But what if our ancestors, centuries ago, stumbled upon a better way? What if they created the perfect storage device over 300 years ago? A hard drive so tough it could last for centuries, so perfectly disguised it's been hiding in our living rooms and concert halls this whole time. What if the most important data we have isn't stored on silicon, but in wood, felt, and steel? A single resonant piano key is pressed. The sound hangs in the air, rich, complex, and full of something more than just music. What if that grand piano is more than just a musical instrument? What if it's a piece of forgotten hardware? We're about to investigate the hidden history of the piano, not as a tool for art, but as the world's first mechanical data storage system. A device designed for a purpose so unbelievable it had to be hidden in plain sight, to hold the most complex data imaginable, human consciousness itself. To us, the grand piano is the very picture of acoustic elegance. It's a cultural icon, a vessel for the genius of Mozart and Rachmaninoff. The story we're told begins around the year 1700 in Florence, Italy. A brilliant instrument maker named Bartolomeo Cristofori was frustrated with the keyboards of his day. The harpsichord could pluck its strings, but it was all one volume. The clavichord was expressive, but way too quiet for a concert hall. Cristofori had a revolutionary idea, an instrument that could play both soft and loud. He called it the gravicembalo col piano e forte. Literally, the harpsichord with soft and loud. His groundbreaking invention used a tiny hammer to strike the strings and fall away, letting them ring out. For the first time, how hard you pressed a key changed the volume. It was a musical revolution. Over the next 2 centuries, this fortepiano evolved. The keyboard grew from 54 keys to the 88 we know today. Its wooden frame was eventually replaced with a massive cast-iron plate that could handle immense tension. Composers fell in love with its power, and it became the heart of the Romantic era. That's the history we learn, the official story. But it's a story that leaves some big questions unanswered. It might just be a convenient cover for a much deeper purpose, because the evidence, when you look closer, suggests the music might just be a beautiful distraction from what the piano really does. The first strange thing is the machine itself. A modern grand piano has, on average, over 12,000 individual parts. Think about that. The Ford Model T, the car that put the world on wheels, had fewer than 5,000. Why would a musical instrument need almost 3 times the components of an automobile? It seems absurdly, almost suspiciously, over-engineered. The precision needed to regulate a piano's action is measured in fractions of a millimeter, a tolerance that seems a bit much for just making a hammer hit a string. Historians tell us these complexities were all for better music. Take Sebastian Erard's double escapement action, patented in 1821. The official story is that this brilliant device lets a musician repeat a note rapidly, without the key fully resetting, perfect for the lightning-fast trills you hear in Liszt. And it does do that. But what if that's just a side effect? What if the double escapement's real purpose is something else? A mechanism for high-speed mechanical switching sounds a lot less like music and a lot more like a primitive logic gate designed for rapid data access. Then there's the frame. By the mid-19th century, pianos were being built with single-piece cast-iron frames. These monsters are made to withstand over 20 tons of string tension. We're talking the equivalent of several elephants. The accepted reason is for a louder, more sustained tone. But again, that feels incomplete. Wood worked for stringed instruments for centuries. This sudden jump to a material that could hold its exact shape under massive stress for hundreds of years feels less about volume and more about permanence. It suggests a design focused on long-term integrity, not for a lifetime of playing, but for centuries of storage. When you put it all together, the staggering parts count, the high-speed action, the fortress-like frame. The piano starts to look less like a delicate instrument and more like a vault, a machine whose complexity wasn't for the artist, but for the archivist. This leads us to our central question. What if the official history is just a cover story? What if the piano was never mainly about music? What if its real purpose was to store data? To get this, you have to think about how data was first stored. Long before silicon chips, the first automated machines were purely mechanical. In the 18th century, weavers used looms controlled by punched paper to create complex patterns automatically, a simple binary system. This is the same idea used in player pianos, or pianolas, which appeared in the late 19th century. They used perforated paper rolls to tell the piano which notes to play. But our theory suggests something way more advanced, something that came even before those looms. What if the piano itself, not a paper roll, is the storage medium? What if it's a self-contained read-write device? Let's look at the piano again. A modern hard drive stores data as magnetic charges on a spinning platter. A read-write head on a moving arm detects or alters these charges. It's a physical, mechanical system. Now back to the piano. What if each of the 88 keys isn't just for a note, but an input command to select a data address? And the information isn't just binary. A piano key can be struck in countless ways. How fast? How hard? How long is it held? This isn't an on-off switch. It's a high-fidelity analog input. Modern MIDI systems measure key velocity on a scale of 0 to 127. That gives us a clue. If velocity is one variable, duration is another, and the key itself is a third, you're suddenly looking at a multi-dimensional data entry system. Each key press isn't just a note, it's a data point with multiple attributes. The hypothesis is this. The piano was designed as a mechanical data storage device from the very beginning. The music we hear is just an acoustic byproduct, like the chatter of a hard drive or the whir of a tape deck. The keyboard is the interface for writing and querying the database. The intricate action is the processor. And the strings, the frame, the whole body of the instrument, that's the hard drive. This theory suggests that when a pianist performs, they aren't just playing music. They're running a program. The composition is the query language, a complex set of commands to read data stored in the instrument's very fabric. It explains why the works of master composers are so incredibly precise. They weren't just writing beautiful melodies, they were writing elegant code to unlock the machine. So, if the piano is a hard drive, how does it work? We think the answer lies in a hidden layer of engineering, running in parallel to the music. Let's start with the storage medium, the strings, and the massive cast-iron frame. As we said, the frame provides incredible stability. But maybe it does more. What if the frame isn't just a support structure, but the platter of our mechanical hard drive? And what if, cast into the iron or machined onto its surface, there are microscopic patterns, ridges and grooves too small to see? A permanent master record. Now think about the hammers and strings. Each note is made by a felt-covered hammer striking the strings. The felt was officially added to soften the tone. But what if it's more like the head on a hard drive, designed to interact with the strings in a deeper way? Maybe the strings aren't uniform. Maybe their windings contain tiny variations, or they're made of alloys that can hold a state, a physical property that's altered when struck. When a key is pressed, the hammer hits the string. We hear the note. But at the same time, the vibrating string could be interacting with the patterned frame behind it, like a stylus in a record groove. The specific frequencies might resonate differently depending on the microscopic pattern on the frame, and this could be the reed mechanism. This data would then be channeled and interpreted by the piano's action. We mentioned Sebastian Erard's double escapement. Officially, it's for fast repetition. But let's see it as a data processor. Its ability to reset the hammer without a full key release allows for incredibly fast, subtle operations. This isn't just for playing fast, it's for processing information fast. Each of the action's thousands of moving parts could be a mechanical gate or router, translating the data read from the frame. How would you write data? This is the most speculative part. When a pianist plays with the sustaining pedal down, it creates a huge wave of sympathetic vibrations. It's possible that a specific, powerful chord progression, a right command, could generate a frequency so precise it physically alters the state of the strings, or even makes a microscopic impression on the hammer felt, writing new data to the system. The player piano suddenly looks very different, doesn't it? It wasn't just a playback device, it was a read or write head, able to perfectly copy a performance or a data file onto a new piano. Those paper rolls weren't just sheet music, they were software. Who could dream this up? This level of genius points to a secret tradition. The 18th century was the age of enlightenment, a time of mechanical innovation and philosophical societies. It's plausible that a group of mechanist philosophers, who believed the entire universe, including the human body, was just a complex machine, sought to build a machine that could store the one thing they believed to be purely mechanical: the human mind. They were the perfect group to hide their work inside the workshops of artisans, disguising their data machine as a musical instrument, a Trojan horse that would be welcomed into the very heart of society. This leads us to the final, most profound part of the hypothesis. If these inventors built a data storage device this complex and this permanent, what data was so important it needed to be preserved for centuries? Not financial records. The sheer fidelity of the system suggests something far more complex, something organic. The purpose of the piano, we propose, was to record, store, and retrieve human consciousness. It sounds outlandish, I know, but it provides a stunningly elegant explanation for the piano's most mysterious quality: its emotional power. Why can a series of notes bring us to tears or fill us with joy? The conventional answer is psychology and cultural association. But what if it's more direct? What if the music is just a carrier wave for the raw emotion, the memories, the very essence of the person whose consciousness is stored inside? Think of it as direct transmission empathy. When a pianist plays a Chopin nocturne, they aren't just recreating music he wrote down, they are running the Chopin program. They are interfacing with the data of his consciousness, his melancholy, his passion, that was recorded into a master piano. The emotional response we feel isn't just an interpretation, it's a bleed-through, a faint echo of the actual consciousness being read by the machine. The music is the sound of a soul loading from the hard drive. This theory reframes the entire history of performance. The great virtuosos, Liszt, Rachmaninoff, Horowitz, weren't just brilliant musicians, they were master operators. They had the unique skill and sensitivity to interface with these machines at the deepest level. Their legendary touch was really their ability to execute read-write commands with unparalleled precision. And those reproducing piano rolls from the early 20th century? They weren't just recordings, they were backups, perfect bit-for-bit copies of a master pianist accessing the consciousness of a long-dead composer. When we listen to one today, we are hearing a ghost in the machine in the most literal sense. The piano, then, is a library of souls. Each instrument holds the potential to access this library. The music is the key, and the most treasured data of all, the lived experience of human beings, is the prize. CTA. The evidence is compelling, even if it's circumstantial. The impossible complexity, the suspicious over-engineering, the uncanny emotional power, It all points to a purpose far beyond music. We believe the clues are hidden in the instruments themselves and the patents of their makers. But this is a history that has been deliberately obscured. What do you think? Is the piano just an instrument? Or is it the most sophisticated piece of lost technology in human history? Let us know your theories in the comments. So, the next time you see a grand piano, look past the polished wood and gleaming keys. See it for what it might truly be. A machine of 12,000 parts, built with a watchmaker's precision and a fortress's strength. The official story says it's an instrument for making music. But the over-engineered action, the massively reinforced frame, and its supernatural ability to transmit emotion all point to one radical idea. The piano is a hard drive, a mechanical vault built to preserve the most valuable data in existence, the human spirit. It's a device from a forgotten generation of visionaries who, in an age of steam and steel, tried to build a machine that could grant immortality. They hid their creation behind a mask of art and culture to ensure it would survive. They built a library of souls and disguised it as a piano, so the next time you hear its melodies, ask yourself, whose story is it waiting to tell?